3, 2, 1, let's go. Okay, okay, this is something for La República.p. I am here with David Chandler. David, how are you?
Doing fine, thanks.
Okay, David, you used to work for Google, right?
Yes, for 3 years, three and a half.
Okay. And what did you do exactly in Google?
I was in developer relations. I worked with the Google Web Toolkit team and also with the Android team. Wrote articles, blog posts, attended community events, things like that.
So you were kind of doing PR for Google.
Yes, for the GWT and Android products especially.
Okay.
Also helped launch the Dart language about a year and a half ago.
Okay, David. May I know why did you quit Google?
I actually wanted to do something a little different with my career. I believe that God has blessed me a lot with opportunities, and I've wanted to give back to the community. I've been involved with open source projects for a long time. Of course, I've benefited from using open source projects, and I've created some open source projects and want to continue to develop those to help the community. And then I also want to teach and help train other developers in developing countries like Peru, and to enjoy the benefits of the economy that software brings. That's part of what I'm doing.
And of course, when someone teaches, that person also learns, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it
Yeah.
was a very difficult decision to quit Google, right?
Yes, of course. Of course. Yeah, it was a very, very excellent job, one that I wanted to have most of my career, really. And but I felt like it was time to do something a little different. I've always loved teaching. I've wanted to do more teaching. So now I'm going to be able to spend a lot more time actually in the classroom teaching people.
Okay, David. Well, every time I hear the word Google, I think about a place where there's no pressure, where there's a lot of freedom. But am I right?
For the most part, yes. I mean, as Google gets bigger, people have more expectations of the company, and so there's more pressure from the outside to maintain the quality of our products and to produce new things every so often. Like if they just stopped working on Android altogether, people wouldn't be happy, right?
That's right.
So there's pressure from the outside to continue the pace of development.
Yeah.
But as far as individual teams are concerned and individual people, it does tend to be a very free environment. That's not to say that people don't work a lot. Actually, in Mountain View, especially in headquarters, people are there at the office all the time. They work long and hard hours, but it's not like in a lot of companies where you feel like you're really pressed to do this. It's more because the people love the work so much.
You were working in Mountain View, right? You were working in Mountain View?
No, I actually worked in Atlanta, but
Yeah.
I would visit Mountain View regularly to spend time with the
And
team
this
there.
outside pressure, can it be stressful?
Sure, but bacon solves all those problems.
Yeah.
That is, every morning, you can go to a cafeteria in Mountain View. The cafeteria is open for breakfast as well as for lunch, and they have bacon and pancakes, and seriously, having good free food available makes life a lot easier. It makes it more fun to work there.
There are not so much companies that do that, right?
No, there's not many.
There are not many.
Yeah, there's a couple others in Silicon Valley that have started doing it just because Google does, and they're trying to compete for the talent pool.
Okay, but the Google model for workspace, with free food, some kind of, I don't know, freedom to be creative, can it be adopted for any company?
I think so. Google has had these practices ever since they were a young company. It's not just because they were big and successful that they're able to afford that. It's been part of the culture for a long time. Even when Google only had, I think, 10 employees, maybe 15, I'm not sure exact number, but they hired a chef at that time to cook lunch for them every day. So it's been part of the company culture for a long time. I think what Google realizes is that even though, yes, it's expensive to provide food for people, for example, the benefits that you get by having all the engineers come together every day and talk with each other, share information, um, outweigh the cost
Okay.
of the benefits.
Okay, this model, of course, you have told me it is not perfect, right? So I imagine that, well, even if you have free food, those things, even though you can still have problems, you still have to struggle with some things in the job, right?
Sure. Being there's a little bit of politics inside Google, not nearly as bad as other companies. But yeah, there's it's a big company, and big companies always have their strengths and their weaknesses.
Okay, tell me about Android. So, well, it is a very popular platform. It's a very popular operating system. How do you think it is going to be Android more? Well, I don't know, how is it going to be? How is it going to develop in the future?
I think um, you're going to see better battery life. Better. There's a lot of attention being paid to standardizing across the ecosystem. Um, I think you're going to see Google makes a great effort to allow Android to continue to run on older hardware and older devices um, with less memory, etc. So I think that Android is just going to continue to get better, not only for new hardware but for older as well.
Okay, I was hearing that you are opening a company, Arequipa, right?
Yes, I've started a company. We plan to do mobile and web development.
Yeah, but why Peru?
There were a lot of reasons, some personal reasons why I came to Peru. It's good for me because I have asthma and I do much better in a dry climate.
Yeah.
So Arequipa is perfect for that. It's dry. It's also sunny most of the year, which is nice. Um, Peru has a developing economy, especially in software. There's a growing software community here. There's universities teaching systems engineering or computer science. So there's a lot of good opportunities, I think, to help grow the ecosystem. Uh, it's been politically stable for 2 decades now, which is a good thing, and is not in Latin America. Not always. Not everybody is stable.
Yeah, that's right. Eventually, our democracy is thrown in the trash by some military, some soldier. But well, okay. Tell me, I would like to know why did you decided to leave by working with technology? Why being a developer? Why that? How did you decide to to I don't know to gain your food with that?
Yeah, I guess I started programming computers when I was 14. A friend of mine had a old TRS-80 Model 1 computer from Radio Shack in his basement, and he would work on his model train set, and I saw his computer and said, "What's this?" And I started to get into it, um, and taught myself basic programming on that computer, and then later taught myself assembly language on TI 994A computer. And it's just something that's fascinated me my whole life. I've enjoyed writing programs and being able to create things.
Okay. Well, David, to end this interview, I would like you to know. Tell me something that any company can learn from Google.
I think that's a very excellent question, and I think the main thing is to have a sense of efficiency um, and an emphasis on doing things right the first time. So for software developers especially, a lot of times it's tempting to take shortcuts and say, well, I'm going to write this little piece of code, but it's really not very good code, but I know I'm going to change it later. What happens when you do that is you accumulate what we call technical debt. And at some point that technical debt has to be paid back. So Google tries very hard in all of its products not to take shortcuts, but to build it right the first time, even if it takes a little longer. And that's true of the internal tools that the company uses as well as the external products. And that ultimately has made the company much more productive in the long run, I think. And I think any company can employ the same principles of really working hard to eliminate waste. So if there's a process that's ineffective, or it takes too much time, or it uses more paper or more time or whatever it is than is necessary, then you find a way to reduce that waste, make the process as simple as possible, use as few resources as possible to get the job done. And in doing that, you will end up saving a lot of money and time in the long run. Google is by far the most productive place I've ever worked.
Okay, David.
And
Well, thank you so much. And how old are you? Just to have that data.
yeah, I'm 43. I
43.
have 5 kids, 2 in the United States and university, and 3 here in Peru with us.
Okay, you said something, a word I think I didn't hear it very well. You said technical gap
Technical debt.
data,
Debt.
DAT,
DEBT.
DEBT.
Yeah.
Okay,
Deuda en español.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Well,